Okay. I want to attempt to describe some wisdom that I have gained in the last little while, and this is going to be about anxiety. I find anxiety is a very broad spectrum of feelings, let's say, that are indicators of a certain thing, namely that we are thinking more rapidly. All our feelings come from the thoughts we have. Feelings, I like to think of, are a byproduct of our thoughts, and then our actions are the products of our thoughts. And the more anxiety we feel, the more stress we feel, is an indicator of how fast we're thinking, how many thoughts we have scrambling around in our mind that we're trying to hold on to and grasp. A great example of this is if we're out on a mountaintop and we're looking out over the vast earth, the mountains, the valleys, the rivers, the trees, maybe some architecture as well that's man-made, we get this incredible feeling of harmony, peace, love. We get so grounded in stillness, and it's due to our thoughts slowing down. We're barely thinking at all. We're merely being. And the misunderstanding is that being in that environment, being on top of that mountain, is what causes us to feel so calm and at peace and alive at the same time, when really it's that we've slowed our thinking down so much. And that's why not everyone is going to feel the exact same way in each specific situation that comes up, because the situation doesn't have the power to make us feel anything. It's the thoughts we're having that are causing us to feel something. And I've experienced it myself, where I'm in this state of harmony and of joy on top of a mountain, and all of a sudden I start to go, oh, I want to be here longer. I'm gonna have to go back to that place. I'm gonna have to leave this. Maybe I only have 5 more minutes that I can stay up here before we gotta turn around before it gets dark. And all of a sudden I start thinking, and that state, that natural constant underlying state of wellness that we have innately, starts to be disturbed, and I start to get anxious and go, well, I better just really take everything in, and I start to almost grasp at each little detail that I'm seeing, so that I can try to remember it more vividly, so that I can recall it later and get that feeling again as powerfully as possible. And in doing so, I lose that feeling that I had when I wasn't so avidly trying to grasp it and to cling to it. And this is how it is. Another really good example could be 3 people going up to do a presentation together, and the 3 of them are all backstage, and one of them is really fidgety, antsy. They've got a bit of sweat on their brow, and they're have a little bit of a worry to them, and they are saying things like, "Oh, I'm so anxious for this. This is so stressful. I can't wait to get this over with." And then the second presenter, they're excited, they're happy, they still have some sweats going on, their pits are getting a bit sweaty, they're feeling a little tingly, but they're smiling and they're putting their chest out and getting themselves all amped up, and they're saying that they're excited, they feel excited about this presentation. And then the third person is there. The third person is calm, cool, at peace, really a rock of confidence and grounding that is so noticeable, especially in relation to the other two. And they're feeling ready, they're feeling unafraid, because they're not really thinking. They're there, they're in the moment, and when the presentation starts, they will come out onto the stage and be in that moment, and they're not paying attention to having lots of thoughts, analyzing what could go wrong or what could go right. They're there living it out. And this second person, the excited one, sometimes we get this, we hear this where worry, anxiety, excited are all kind of the same feeling, but with a different name. And I mean, they are different levels of thought processing, where this person who's excited, they're having a lot of thoughts, they're spinning quite fast, but they're able to stay with it. They're able to keep up with the thoughts and go, okay, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right. Whereas the anxious person is having too many thoughts to keep up with. They're getting oversaturated with their thoughts, and they're not going, okay, it's all good, it's all good. They're going, oh man, is it all good? Is it gonna be all good? And that's a key difference for sure, is once we're in that anxious state, that's when we're getting overwhelmed by the amount of thoughts we're thinking. And I mean, that's a great point right there, is there is kind of this, because anxiousness in itself is a conglomeration of feelings, insecurity, worry, things like this, fear, and so there's different levels of anxiety we can feel based on how many thoughts we're having. And so yeah, like being excited is a form of anxiety. You're anxious, you're revved up, eager is kind of a very low level anxious. And to just take note of that and understand for next time, when we start to feel this anxiousness creeping into us, it's because we have started to rev up our thought processing. We're starting to think more than we want to be thinking in order to feel that underlying innate well-being that we all possess. And it's only when we drop out of the thinking that we enter that calmness, that presence that allows us to expand so lovingly into the surroundings. And that's a wonderful example of how our surroundings don't make us feel anything. Because when we get into that state of well-being, everything suddenly turns to love. And from there, this can be a tool for you to use, an indicator, the anxiety, the lower level thoughts, lower amount of thoughts. You're in this peaceful, grounded state, and then you move up a bit, and you're kind of in the flow of things. You're noticing that you still have this dialogue going on, but you're not having it stop you from flowing with the day, from flowing through the things that you want to be doing with your time, and spreading joy into the world. And then as we get into higher level thoughts, and I mean, this could be seen as a gauge where you're going from 0 to 1,000, like RPMs, but thoughts per minute. Or it could be a gauge like this. It's all up to you. And as we get to that next level of anxiety, we're starting to feel anxious. It's because I'm starting to get caught in my thoughts. Instead of being in flow where I think these thoughts but don't think anything of them, now I'm thinking these thoughts and kind of stopping every few thoughts and going, does that make sense? Why am I thinking this? So on and so on. And that can be where we get into the higher level of anxiety, where we're suddenly not present to what's going on, and we're so in our heads analyzing our thoughts, thinking and thinking and thinking about our thinking, instead of understanding that the thinking won't stop. The thinking is just another part of this beautiful system that we are embodying, that we are embracing. And then, that's really how it goes. You can get more and more anxious the more you're thinking about things, the more we're thinking about things. And it can lead to very dark places for very long lengths of time when we're not able to separate ourselves from those thoughts and understand the reason I'm feeling so depressed, so angry, so stressed out is because I have latched on to this insane treadmill of thinking and not given myself a break. That is going to drain the hell out of anyone. And it can cause burnout, overload, panic attacks. But once we're able to understand, I'm feeling this way because of the thoughts I'm having, and that I'm having more of them than my system can handle. Okay, let me just let go of these thoughts. Let me let them pass on through instead of trying to command them and control them and understand them all and make meaning of every single one of them. Let me just give myself a rest from doing all that. That's when we naturally slow down and our thoughts naturally even out, and we get rejuvenated with that inner state of wellness that's been waiting and waiting, like the sun on a cloudy day, to sprout back out and fill you up. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know how this resonates with you. Any questions you have, I would love to discuss it further, to provide better understanding about the idea. It's so fundamentally altering in how we can live our lives. Namaste.